Good to see everyone. Happy last Sunday of the year, for real this time. And I will do a small public service announcement because at the end of this talk, which will be a little abbreviated, Tamara is going to take the lead. She will take us through a burning bowl ceremony. So I'm going to need you to get some pieces of paper. Get yourself a bowl that has water in it. And get yourself your handy dandy lighter, because as I talk to you in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to have you write down everything that you would like to release. And then Tamara will walk you through burning them. Yay. So welcome. The title of today's talk is Release, Refresh, and Renew. And so those three things are what we will be doing today and for the next week. Because this is the final week. This is the time when the entire planet is in the mode of letting go of the old and bringing in the new. And we have a lot of rituals around that. There are feasts, there are gatherings, there are the droppings of orbs in New York, and there are the different ways of celebrating with fireworks that tend to scare the dogs, but I digress. It's all about bringing in something new, and so it becomes a bit of a wave that we can ride, where, yes, any part of the year, any time of the year, any moment in your life, you are free to start again, and we do that. But there's something special about the end of the actual calendar year, that everyone is sort of on that same wavelength, and it's a little bit easier to gather momentum and steam because others are also talking about it. So we are releasing the old and walking in our newness. And if we were a snake shedding our skin, we would do it in one fell swoop. Like we would love, in the end of the year, going into the new year, we would love to just speak into existence that which we wish to experience. And we would love to just burn it away as if that's the last time we're going to deal with whatever's vexing us. A snake does a good job at physically stepping out of the old and into the new. The rest of us, however, maybe not so much. Maybe it's more iterative than we'd like to admit. So here is our idea. When we talk about shedding our old skin, we are talking about energy and perspective and changing our minds, changing the way we see things. So Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, of course, he's our founder. He wrote this all the way back in 1938. He said, borrowing from Romans 12, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now that's in your mother and my mother's Bible. And I say that because how many of us can reach over and grab a Bible? I mean, I can, but it actually came from my mom's house, like literally. But what does Ernest say about that? Ernest Holmes says, today we know what this means. Not your mama's Bible. The renewing of the mind is scientific. As the conscious thought pours truth into the subjective channels of creative energy, the body is automatically renewed. This is a mental healing. Mental healing is a conscious act as well as an established fact. In the experience of many people, instead of the old concepts of disease and failure, we are to inject those of liberty, freedom, health, harmony, and success. Mental health is subject to the exact laws of the science of mind and spirit, and is accomplished by correct knowing. This knowing is a mental attitude toward the truth. It is the truth which makes us free, and it is in the mind that knows the truth. So, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Ernest said, let me sprinkle a little science on that. Just so you don't have to just have faith, which is great, but tends to crumble under the weight of lived experience. I came from a tradition, I'm sure many of us did, when we had questions that are about today's issues, we were given platitudes and told to just have faith and to turn it over to Jesus, which there's nothing wrong with that. We will turn it over to Jesus, we will. And when we turn it over to Jesus, we also want to know, so why did I feel that way? How can I heal? And if the teaching that says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, is just have faith, it'll be fine. Turn it to Jesus. Let it go. Stop tripping. Ma'am, can you give me some more instructions? Ernest says, put me in, coach. Ernest says, the renewing of the mind is a scientific act. The conscious thought pours truth into our subjective being. And he said, this don't just happen. He said, of course, I'm going to put words in his mouth because that I am who I am. The body is automatically renewed. It is a mental healing. Mental healing is a conscious act. In other words, it don't just happen. It's a conscious act, purposely choosing, I'm going to put more words in his mouth, purposely choosing how you are going to be changed by the experience. What are you here to learn by this experience that you're in? What is happening to you might be happening for you or happening through you, depending on how you choose to see it. But what we're not going to do, as I put my words into Ernest Holmes' mouth, I would love to see him on stage dancing around, grabbing air. What we're not going to do, funny, right? Anyway, I'll get back to serious. What we're not going to do is just assume that all will be fine. We'll just turn it over to something because someone told us to just have faith. We're going to be a little more involved in that, and we're going to use this conscious mind of ours not to push it down and not give credence to our true inner feelings. We get to look at our true inner feelings and we decide, is this thing, whatever's vexing you, I don't know what you're going to write down, what's vexing you, write it down. Is this here to teach me something? Is it here, is it happening to me and all I can do is sit here and deal with it, not do anything? But what is it here to do? We get to choose. And a lot of times it's just choosing a different story, choosing a different context. The number one principle of Science of Mind comes into releasing the idea that we have control over a lot of this stuff. When we release that idea that we have control, doesn't it feel better? If you walk into a room and things aren't going well, do you feel like you get to tell everybody how to act? Only if you're their teacher. Only if you're their teacher. Like, you are hired to stand there in front of these children who've lost their minds, and you get to snatch them up and tell them how to be with, some degree of professionalism. Sure. But if you're not their teacher or their mother, excuse you, you got to let them cook. Your choices are, do I stay here? Or do I go? Do I stay here and try to be an example that other people can choose to model themselves after? Or do I just need to protect my own sanity? I see a lot of people arguing with what is instead of just saying, well, here we are. Here we are. It is what it is. What is this here to teach me? What is it here to show me? Of course, I have an example. Why wouldn't I? So there I was. I was having dinner with my young offspring. Well, he's not so young anymore. That boy will be 29 in a couple days. How? When I'm still like 30. Anyway, this person was defending his support for a very, very rich, possibly the richest person in the world, and that he's a real person. He's a person. And it's kind of rude to think that, to hold such high standards and be so mean when you talk about him. And I said, well, later, after that conversation went by, I came back because, when people are charged, you can't get in there. We started talking about something else, and I talked to him about how kids these days are very interested in astrology. Have you noticed this? I'm going to wrap this up, but listen, astrology, they will turn to astrology to give them reasons why things exist and the reason why people are the way they are. And even if they're very scientifically based, engineer is this person who I gave birth to. He says, because of the sign and this and that, and talks about my sign and how I'm not typical because my Venus is in some house. And I'm like, what's happening right now? But it matches the other people I know that are also millennial, 20-somethings and early 30s. They have to understand life in some way. They've got to put it into perspective so they can make sense of it. So I asked him about that. And he started explaining to me how, oh, but it's absolutely true. It's scientific fact. And I'm like, and so are so many other things. Why would you not also allow the other scientific facts? And I brought in Enneagram. I brought in the human design concept. I brought in Myers-Briggs. I even brought in Jungian, Freudian. I grabbed them all like they were a basket full of Christmas ornaments. And I said, but why not also entertain all these things too? I just don't want you or any of us here listening to take anybody's one narrow way of seeing the world, the ways of understanding why anything is happening, and attributing God, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, or Sagittarius with a Venus in Cancer. No, stop it. It's not those things, but it's also not those things. It's not only those things. And I'll take you to this. The divine itself is bigger than any way that we can explain it. It's bigger than any point of view that any of us could have. The divine itself, it's bigger than all the points of view put together. Think about it. If the universe, this existence, this thing called life, exists in little pieces, every point of existence is an expression of God, the divine, whatever you want to call it. If everything in life is a representation of the one, and I believe that's true, I also believe, but this is not all there is. There's more than what you can see. There's more than what is already here. There's something bigger. That's where the magic is. That no matter how we explain it, there's something bigger than that going on. Which means you can never unfold all the way. There's always another petal, another round, another blooming and opening and becoming. So at that point, I turned the conversation back to my son's love for Mr. Musk. And I said, he is a person. He is a person with feelings, and he has reasons for being exactly who he is, whether it's his rising and his sun and his moon and his planets on this thing and that thing. I go, he is a person, and he got there with experience and trauma and his response, and he has emotions. I go, so, but here's the thing. When he's the richest person in the world, what he does about those feelings is a bit more impactful than what I do about my feelings. You see, everybody here has the right to have feelings. All of us have feelings. And you never, ever got put in jail for how you felt. You get convicted or prosecuted. You hurt other people because what you do about those feelings, that's what I have a problem with. And he was like, oh, yeah. He goes, well, you know why he does those things? And I was like, oh my God. He goes, no. You know why he does it? I'm like, argh. I wanted to stay to the point of no matter why. I get it. I have compassion. I said, why? He goes, because he's a Cancer. And then he cracked up, and I'm just like, oh, you got me. You got me. Okay, put the fine pen on it. Then the waitress comes up. She gives us our check. I'm paying for it. It's my treat. And then she says something, because we just became friends on LinkedIn. She goes, it's so cool. You own your own company. And then she asked me a question, and Blake says, it's because she's a Sagittarius. And I'm like, this millennial stood there and went, oh, what the hell what's happening right now? He said, she's a Sag. And the lady says, oh, that explains everything. What explained? What just happened? And now Blake is the one red with humor, because it just really wraps it all up. Now, why am I mentioning all that? Because guess what I need to put down on my piece of paper, y'all? I hope you already have yours. I'm going to release my judgment of how people choose to see themselves and meaningfulness in this life. I'm going to release my need to control, manipulate, lead. Who made me leader? In every situation, nobody. I'm going to release that need to lead. And I'm going to lean into, which next Sunday when we get together, we're going to set our vision for what we do want. So today is letting go of what you don't want. And then we're going to go into what we do want next Sunday. All right. So, Tamara, I'm going to turn it to you, my dear. I don't know if you want to let us have time to write things down. I have
Yeah,
music to play.
I'm going to walk them through that.
Good. Okay,
And
great.
I am hoping at this point you now have, like Charlene said, something that you can jot down what you want to release. And you need a bowl of water because we don't need any fire emergency at your house right now. And you need something to light. It could be a matchbox or it could be one of these little lighters. And this is our secret bowl portion that we do each year on the last Sunday of the year. And I'm going to share with you what I wrote down in my little journal when I thought about the topic of today, release, refresh, and renew. And we can take this into this ceremony. So I wrote down, just as I clean out my closet from time to time, and I part with things that no longer spark joy, you know that phrase, that expression, I must clean out my mental closet. So, what's in your mental closet? What no longer fits you? Maybe at one point it was the latest style. Maybe you felt so good when you put that on. But now, it's the wrong size, it's the wrong style. You've been rising higher. You've been growing deeper this year, right? And there's something that is still lingering in your mind. And maybe it's that thought that Charlene had about judgment. I need to put aside judgment. I'm not going to judge others. I heard too, Charlene, I need to let go of that need to control. I am a leader and I like to take charge, but I don't have to take charge of everything. The only thing I'm creating is my life. I wrote down, I still every now and then have these lingering thoughts of I'm not enough. I've made tremendous headway. I laughed as I wrote these words down because I thought back to my first time that I did the sacred bowl. And I wrote down, I am not enough. I am not worthy. I'm just a nobody. And I watched that burn as those things released. And I'd like to say that this is an instant cure, that this happens immediately as you watch it burn. But what I've noticed on my journey, that over time, over the years that I've been with CSL, through all the classes, through all the workshops, through every Sunday, I have been rising higher and I have been growing deeper. So that little need, that little voice, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But when I thought, what am I going to write down? Yeah, there's little traces. I'm going to let that go. So with all that as our warm up, it says in our journal, if you had a magic wand, here it is. What would you choose to release? So now I'm going to walk us through, and I'm hoping that you have your bowl of water. Here's mine. And you have your slip of paper. And you have something to light it. And I want you just to hold that slip of paper and think about what's written there. And think about how that no longer suits you. You're a different person than you were on January 1st, 2025. You have been rising higher. You have been growing deeper. You've been getting stronger with your spiritual practice. As I look at the names that show up on my screen, you've been at the workshops, you've been taking the classes, and you've been growing. So whatever is on that slip of paper that you're releasing doesn't fit you anymore. And just like packing up that clothing that no longer belongs in your closet, bundling it up and hopefully taking it off to Goodwill or some charity so that somebody else can receive your abundance. we're going to take this slip of paper. And instead of tearing it up or bundling it up and passing it on to somebody else, they don't need this. We're going to take it and we're going to light it. And just think as you watch it burn that it is being released. It doesn't spark joy anymore. It isn't yours to carry or wear anymore. It's going to stay here in the last Sunday of 2025. And when there's no trace of it left, you can drop it in the bowl of water to help you out. So you follow along with me and light a slip of paper. And as you watch it burn, think about how you are releasing and you are letting go. Sending it back to the nothingness from which it came. Remembering who you are. You're not perfect, you don't have to be. You were divinely created to be you. And you are learning. You are growing. And you are moving each and every day to the best and the highest good. And there's just a smile on your face as you think about the next year. It's an unopened present, right? What will it bring? But I release anything that's negative, anything that's been lingering, as I refresh and renew and step into the new year. All right, that is our sacred bowl ceremony.